Misogyny in MMA.
DC, bro. Like, let's keep it a buck. The way that he talks to Laura Sanko and how they, like, treat her on the weigh-in show is weird.
It's old Rampage. The way Rampage used to be with Karen Bryant. Any female interviewer, any female ring girl that he could, like, get near. DC's like that with Laura, and it's definitely pretty weird.
It's the same thing where Connor gets a pass with people despite the fact that he's now finally married to Dee Devlin, because they're like, well, think about it, bro. She's got all this money. She's got to do nothing. And there's a level of criticism she deserves because she went after the victim of Connor, saying, I hope my sons never grow up to be with a woman like you. How about your sons don't grow up to be like their dad? But hey,
I made a video about Nina Drama and talking about how, like, I do lack a little sympathy if you're going to be getting angry at Sean Strickland, but that's like your close personal friend. Like, it's just to see her in her personal life outside of her job for the UFC be closely related to these people who are super inflammatory and then sometimes be upset by their comments. It's like, what did you expect from these people? I can understand being upset. I know why you're upset, but when are you going to realize that these people don't respect you?
The chat was talking about how good Nina's feet were, and Dana was like, let me see. I thought that was weird as fuck. Bro, you're pushing 60. You're married, you have multiple kids, like adult children. You're talking about, let me see your feet. This woman that could be your kid on stream.
A lot of men get really performative about this whole high horse of the UFC, bro. They're leading into women's sexuality, bro, and women are having OnlyFans. They're doing all of this, bro. They need to be shamed for it. But it's like you are the people that consume it.
Ronda Rousey made a comment recently about Valentina having an OF. Valentina only does training videos on her OF. Ronda's never had an OF as far as I know, but she's done more sexual things than Valentina.
For example, a lot of the women who like Khabib, despite what he says, they think he look good.
That's why I really even started liking the UFC. I'm not lying to you. First of all, I already knew who Khabib was back in like 2018 because I thought he was hot.
To touch on Tracy Cortez really quickly, with Ortega and Alex Pereira, she was in relationships with both of them. None of us really know even what happened, but a lot of men were like, see, look, man, that's why you can't date no girl like Tracy Cortez, bro. Dude, she's gonna be problems. You even know this, bro? Like, how would you even know any of this?
With Ilya and his wife, it was immediately, he didn't do it, she's just trying to get money.
When John Jones hits women, it's like, he's just a complicated figure, bro. You understand, he made a mistake. He's going through a rough time. I have never once it crossed my mind thinking, you know what? I'm gonna go beat up my girlfriend because I'm going through tough. That's never crossed my mind.
People cared more about John Jones ducking Tom Aspinall than anything he did prior to that.
The women's MMA, I don't know. Maybe something explosive needs to happen again for it to be respected. But I think that there's just going to be a small group who cares and then majority who don't.
But what do you think?
All right, so for those who are or not familiar, I'll introduce myself first. Well, actually, it probably should be Jada first. I think ladies first. I think it should probably be her first.
Ladies first.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Jada, also known as Sweet Pea. My username is Slapwatch, but everyone knows me as Sweet Pea on TikTok. I just want to let you guys know, yes, I'm a new fan, okay? Just cut me a little slack, come on now. I'm learning, and that's honestly why I decided to do a podcast with these guys here, just because I know how knowledgeable they are. And we're all mutuals on TikTok, and I think a lot of us, all of us think similarly. And yeah, we decided to hop on a podcast just to talk about topics revolving MMA and getting some discourse started, because we do it all on our separate channels. So it's good to be able to collaborate and talk with each other. So it's, yeah, I hope to bring a new perspective to what they have to say.
You go, Isaiah.
All right, my name's Isaiah. My TikTok is at Re-Rack Your Weights, or Isaiah aka Rax. I've been watching MMA since 2008. Since then, I've had some casual periods, and I'm kind of in one of them right now. I'm in my mainly watching main cards, mainly watching main events era right now, once again. But I try to keep up with as much as possible. I try to keep up with the discourse as much as possible as well. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right, so I'm Zombie Man Jay, whatever you want to call me by, Zombie Man. I've been watching MMA probably since like 2010, 11-ish, and I was like young, because for context, I'm 24 years old. People be thinking I'm like 35, but I'm not. I don't think I look that old, but you know, it is what it is. I mainly got into MMA off of gaming. My dad bought me UFC Undisputed 2009, and I seen Chuck Liddell with the cool mohawk, Anderson Silva, a cool black dude beating up people. So I was like, okay, this is like cooler than WWE. But I make content on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Unfortunately, don't know why I decided to make content on Twitter. Probably a mistake on MMA Twitter. But regardless, though, you know, some people, they've got some opinions on me. You might love me or hate me or in between. You know, I'm like the radical leftist, the lib of, you know, MMA, whatever it may be. But I wear that as a badge of honor, not as an insult. So I say that.
Honestly, like I just want to add to that. I feel like first of all, the reason why I think people think you're older is because you're very smart. You know how to
Exactly. I was
speak
gonna
very
say
well.
it's
You
the
know? Like even
knowledge.
better than me, and I'm older than you. So that's one reason. And second reason, like why I started this podcast was because of Jay. Jay, he did that interview with Luke Thomas, and it changed like my entire perspective on the sport because I've never seen people speak about topics like they were on their podcast episode. And you know, he led me to you guys, he led me to Jada, he led me to Isaiah. He's like, yeah, these guys, they know what they're talking about. They're not afraid to speak their mind. And honestly, I feel honored to be able to share a screen with you guys and just share conversation with you all.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
All right,
So,
Jay, you want to get into today's topic?
So we're going to talk about the most positive, favorable subject in MMA. You know, the topic that so many men are super educated on in the MMA space. You know, the actual topic that, you know, men are pulling out the literature. You know, they speak very eloquently about it. You know, they speak with very good grace. Misogyny in MMA. I don't know, man. You know, something that's, you know, very, very, you know, like a lot of male MMA fans are very well diverse in this. You know, they definitely never would ever leave, you know, a sexist, a weird, a predatory comment under a woman's post. They would never do that, right? It never happens, bro, right? Never happens.
never.
Or an MMA.
Never see it on
Yeah.
the drama's comment section, no.
Yeah, and MMA fighters like the men, or even sometimes the women, they would never say something even casually misogynistic. Like you never hear MMA fighters go, "Oh, women should just go back in the kitchen. Women didn't deserve to vote. Like women shouldn't be fighting. This is not women's sport." That never happens, dude. It's just like just shut up and watch the fights, right? Just shut up and watch the fights. You know?
No, it's a breeze. It's a breeze being a woman MMA fan. I love it here. It is so sweet and positive. Nothing ever goes wrong. And yeah, I love it. Being a black one also, so
Yeah, dude.
lit. I love it. I found my people. Let's
It's
go.
also a breeze being a fan of women's MMA as a man, you
Yeah.
know? No
Yeah.
one no one criticizes you whenever you want to talk about women in the sport, you know, everyone's always positive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one ever goes, "She's not gonna let you hit, bro." That I've never gotten that comment
No,
before. I
I've
never got
seen
told that.
one. I've
I
never
never,
seen that one.
I've never got called a. I never got
You
called a.
just made it up right now.
Yeah, dude, I've never been called a performative male. I've never been referred to as, "Oh, dude, you're just gassing." That's never happened, bro. Like, you know, when Sean Strickland just before the Fluffy fight, jabs and teeps, it's like he's going to war. But then, like, when any women's MMA fight goes to decision, it's like bathroom break. But okay, I guess, man, dude, go off, man, go off. Okay, but all seriousness, though, I think the best way we should start off with this, because there's been two things that we've seen, and we'll probably start with probably the little lower hanging fruit. And this is the one that this discourse does require some nuance, because the worst people imaginable do get on this topic, and it's about what Habib said regarding women in MMA. So for context, because I already know the worst type of person is going to say this, so let me break this down. There's obviously going to be the critique of people saying, "Oh, people don't get mad when Habib says it because he's a Muslim, but if Sean Strickland says the same thing, people get mad." And it's like, yes and no, not really. So does Habib, Islam, and them have better PR when it comes to like this stuff? Yeah. Have they low-key probably said worse? Kinda. Like Islam, for example, I know he's not Habib. When Zhang Weili and Joanna fought, do y'all remember when he tweeted out saying this is not women's sport? Like, it kind of gets lost in time. It does kind of get forgotten, but he did say that. Now, people can chalk this up to cultural differences and expectations, but I think regardless of those nuances, there's obviously valid critique either way. I think the issue people might be running into, though, is there is a difference in delivery. Not that the substance is any different, but like if I get on here right now, me, myself, and I go, we made a mistake letting women vote. Women should go back in the kitchen. And like, dude, nobody ever want to watch women fight. It just obviously is going to ring different if then when Habib does the whole thing of like, listen, everyone has a mission, you know, women, you know, back in the day, men, you know, they provide for their family, they go to war, da 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 da. And let's be honest, some of y'all be falling for that, but we're not going to get to that. But my point is the delivery does matter. I get that substance might not be that different, but let's not act like delivery has not changed how you view things. But with that being said, I'll like let y'all.
And I think the thing is too is that it's so interesting because I think that there's going to be a staunch group of Muslims who say, okay, I get it. I understand how Habib is saying that, and I agree. Then there's people, if Sean Strickland says it, that says, okay, I agree because I agree with him and I'm just as like inflammatory as he is. But if like, I guess a regular Christian who wasn't Sean Strickland, who is already so vile in other ways, like it sounds vile coming from Sean Strickland because that's the personality he is. And it's like, okay, that's expected from a man like you. But if somehow, I don't know, who's like a God-fearing man, white man in the UFC, besides Joe Piper, that's really recent.
Bryce Mitchell? Has Bryce Mitchell made
Mitchell.
comments?
Okay, yes, but I'm thinking more like
You want like generic?
palatable. Yeah.
You know who's a good example actually? GSP. GSP, back when women's MMA was coming in, I remember he was making comments about how he doesn't like women's MMA, and Ronda Rousey was like, yo, what the fuck? Like that's crazy, you know? And he later clarified, he was like, it's not that like I don't want women to like fight in the sport. It's just like I don't like watching it because I don't like seeing women get hit in the face. It's just not how I was raised.
Okay. Well, that's a good save there, I guess. But I'm saying if we had like, I'm thinking of like a conservative Christian man were to say that and be like, I don't think that women should be in MMA because of the Bible, that would be way more palatable if it was with the right package. Like, I think both packages of either Sean Strickland or Habib are not the best example because people are going to be is like, oh, he's a Muslim, so null and void, or oh, it's Sean Strickland, he's already a crazy person. If it was packaged in a different way, it would probably be recepted a lot better by more people, even though I think not majority, but I do think a lot of fans probably feel that way anyway because they're already making misogynistic comments about it being a pee break or whatever, or they don't keep up or they don't care. But they probably also have those more traditional roles in their head anyway and think that's too powerful of a thing that a woman could be doing. They do need to be back in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So I think it all depends on who's saying it. And those two people to me are still not the right people to say it to get the message out clearly enough.
You know, it's crazy because Isaiah brought this up in the last episode. He was saying how women's MMA, it's newer. So right now, when we're looking at women's MMA in comparison to men's MMA, if we're looking at like timeline per timeline, we're in like the Tim Sylvia, Andrei Arlovsky era of women's MMA right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say Ronda Rousey, she was kind of like Royce Gracie, like even in the way that she won fights, right? She was just dominating everybody with her grappling. I feel like her opponents, I don't know that her opponents were more evolved than Royce's, to be honest, because Royce's, they had like experience in their disciplines, you know what I mean? While these women did have experience in MMA, Royce's had experience in their discipline, and MMA just wasn't a thing yet, so it's kind of hard to compare. But yeah, at this point, Tim Sylvia, I feel like that's kind of a fair comparison. But regardless,
right now, women's MMA, it's at like such a low, I would say.
Yeah. But my another point I brought up was that there's been so many prior to women's MMA in the UFC specifically, there were so many fights and there were so many boring fights, and none of them were women. So like to complain about boring fights, pee breaks just because it's women, it's like that's clear misogyny because you're not you're not looking at all the boring men's fights. There's boring men's fights in the UFC. There's boring men's fights in all these other promotions. Like,
Mhm.
there's boring men's fights every single card, and no one's calling those pee breaks. No one's. People will complain about them in the moment, but they won't see two guys matched up and call it a pee break immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
I do
because
want to. I wanted to say real quick because of like the era thing. I think one woman who I think is low key a bit more of a pioneer than Gina and Ronda, but I feel like kind of gets left out because of just the time period and where she fought. Megumi Fujihi, the Japanese woman, because she was out here dominating, and she was kind of like the first, like, I guess, GOAT of women's MMA, where she was like dominant, and people were looking at her as like, at least at the time, from what I understand, as like kind of like not necessarily like a star like the way Ronda or Gina was, but she was at least like, people, if they were any somewhat tapped in with women's MMA, they knew Megumi. And I think, at least from my perspective of where women's MMA is now, Tim Sylvia Andre Arlovski could be a good starting. I think that could be a good reference point, but it might slightly be transitioning into like when we got into like Silva ish, not John yet, because it depends on the division you're talking about. Like 135 has kind of been where it's been since Ronda came in. Like Nunes is not new gen at all. She's been around for over a decade, right? She's been over here forever. 115 is a little different though, because right, you have Dern, who's the champ, which don't know if she keeps that when Weili gets at her, but Weili relatively hasn't even been around that long. It seems like she has, but she got her title shot against Andrade in 2019, right? But before that, she had only had like a couple fights in the UFC. She wasn't like around for that long, much prior. Andrade is a vet, Rose is a vet. Like, they're low key not even the same era as Weili. 125 is weird because Shevchenko is, again, kind of in the era of Ronda Nunes, but Ronda Nunes, however, she kind of, in skill set wise, was ahead of her time, I feel like, in my opinion, where she's going back and forth with some of the newer gen-ish women. So Santos, Grasso, obviously Firo, like they're giving her like a tough run, but that's more of a byproduct of her being older. So I don't know. It's kind of more division dependent, because 135, I see it because it's Kayla, Nunes, and then very select few. Like Pena,
She's kind of Ronda's era. She was on Ronda's season of The Ultimate Fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think... Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, this is a little off topic. I just want to say Valentina, she debuted actually before Ronda. I think even maybe before Cyborg. Craziest longevity, some of the craziest longevity in mixed martial arts history, and it's not talked about enough because she's a woman.
That's fine.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing, I don't want to say too much on this introductory part, is I feel like the skill level of women's MMA, and I think this kind of applies even to some other sports, but people get mad when I say this. Like, most women are generally more skilled in certain sports than men, but athleticism can usually be like it's like a spectrum of athleticism with skill, right? Like, for example, I'll bring it down to you like this. There's not that many men I could name that are more skilled than Valentina and Weili. Like, I just think, not even like subjectively, just objectively, in terms of the styles they face, how well-rounded they are, and like what they've shown in the cage. And I'd even say the same for Nunes as well. And even the same for like even Cyborg to some degree too. Cyborg's a bit underrated with this aspect. But the thing though is, for men, I feel like because there is a little bit more of an athletic component to it, I don't think that's, I don't know if I'm overstepping by saying that, but I think there is a little bit more of like the knockouts and stuff, because that's the thing that the men flyweights suffered from, where it was hard for, like, this is revisionist history. People didn't care about DJ when he was champion. Like, when he was actually there, they didn't care, because they were like, oh, it's just small dude. These guys don't knock each other out. These guys can't beat me up. And I think that same thing obviously goes towards the women for a lot of the male audience specifically. So they equate like danger factor to how much respect this person gets, which doesn't make sense because is Volk gonna beat up like Tai Tuivasa? Probably not. Maybe some people think that, but probably not. But you don't give Tai Tuivasa more respect because he's more dangerous. You recognize that Volk the smaller guy, or Joshua Van the smaller guy, or Pantoja the smaller guy. You recognize these things. Like people are now grasping it, but a lot of it is just cultural attitudes, I think, towards women in a very hyper masculine space, which is why I do think women who maybe lean more masculine appearing tend to get more of like the, oh, well, they're one of the few entertaining fighters. Like Whaley's a weird one because she gets that label, I think, because she's got short hair and she's jacked. But if you look at her Instagram or outside of the cage, she doesn't really appear that mask. But maybe that's way out of my range to be saying, but I'll leave it to y'all.
It's bringing up like the size of different fighters. That was something a lot of people were basically clapping back at when it came to Habib's comments on women in MMA, because he was saying how, oh, women, they're weaker, they're smaller, they shouldn't be fighting. And then people were saying, oh, but what about heavyweights? Heavyweights are bigger than you, Habib. Does that mean you shouldn't be fighting?
Yeah. I think an issue that sports fans have is they expect athletes to be like these superhuman, larger than life figures, right? Especially American sports fans. So when it comes to like the NFL, the NBA, they're like, even maybe in the MLB, everyone's like 6 feet or taller. Everyone's like 200 pounds or more. They run a 440, 4440. So when you get to combat sports, the smaller someone is, and especially if they don't have knockout power, like Jay said, like you don't view them as anything different than you or anything that you can't handle. Like you can't beat LeBron one-on-one no matter what. You can't run a route on this defensive back, or you can't run down the middle on this linebacker or you'll get cracked. Some guys think Bradley Martin genuinely thinks, and that's a whole different conversation because I kind of think he might be able to beat DJ too, but Bradley Martin genuinely thinks he could beat Mighty Mouse. And so I feel like people struggle to be fans of those types of athletes because they're not larger than life. They struggle to be fans of flyweights, and they struggle to be fans of women because they're like, oh, I can just beat up the women. But it's like, who cares? Like, even if you can, who cares?
But did you guys see that video recently? Someone on TikTok or Instagram, they made this short video of how many of John Jones's wives can beat John Jones. And basically he commented on it himself, and he like with a laughing emoji, and everyone's like, that's crazy, man. Did you guys see that?
I think I did actually. I think I saw that.
Yeah,
That
I
is
don't know,
so
man. Like
crazy.
that's something that just got glossed over like so quickly, and it's just I was talking about this with Jada, like with whenever there's a fighter who's just like exceptionally talented and so successful, like a Mike Tyson, a Conor McGregor, a John Jones. Even if we go to music with Kanye, people tend to overlook the things they do and say, and it's just because they're so talented.
Unfortunately, dude, I'm not gonna give this guy credit, so I'm not even gonna say the name, but that whole looks maxing thingy? Like, okay, it's so dumb, but the problem is there is some validity to what they're saying,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
call it, oh my gosh, I talk about this in my personal life, but I call it the R. Kelly scale, right? How successful and attractive you are as a man can scale how much you can get away with. Like, take this for example. This might be a bit of a niche example, but I will try to like make it follow. So I'll use two people: R. Kelly, Daniel Caesar, right? Maybe you may not know Daniel Caesar. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Daniel Caesar's not that attractive of a dude. He's not. When he said anything a little, I forgot even what he said to be real, but it
He
was a
was
little bit out of pocket.
he was basically like he was defending like this white creator who said the N-word. And
Oh,
yeah, you remember that. Yes, Jules. That's
well,
what it was,
yeah, he said that, right? And a lot of people was like, yeah, I'm cool off of that, right? Because I mean, he made good music, but just to be real, like people look at him, and plus the music itself is not iconic enough. R. Kelly was known to be R. Kelly for what he did, and people were willing to let it fly because some of them were like, I wish it were me. And I think that's how a lot of people look at John Jones. A lot of men wish they were getting beat up by John Jones and being his wife. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. They probably like it's. I know it just gets into a whole bunch of things like idol culture and stuff like that, but successful, good-looking men, it don't even have to necessarily be good-looking, but just successful men in general, there's a scale on what you can get away with. I know this is, again, going a little bit out of bounds, but the whole thing with Jada Ivey, a lot of people are saying it was about him expressing his Christian views or da-da-da-da. Bro, he just wasn't even that good at hoops. Like, I'm not saying he was terrible, but like, if LeBron said the same thing, they cut at him? No. So that's kind of goes into the whole thing with how people also will look at stuff like this with John Jones. Like, John Jones is laughing off the fact that he put the Beats by Dre on his fiance, wife, whatever she is, and he can just do that. Like, he can just do that because it's John Jones. But people wouldn't have that much grace if it were like, let me see, like, who's like a fire that just like people don't even really care about for real. Like,
You
I don't
don't want
know.
to say it.
Alex
But
Garcia.
if Bilal Muhammad did that, get him out of there. Get him out of there.
The thing is that
Listen,
even
I was gonna say Lerone Murphy, but
leave him alone.
Leave him alone. No Lerone slander.
my fault.
But I will say that but that's the thing is that attractive or unattractive men obviously have it a little bit harder, but even attractive women are not given the same amount of grace as men are. That's like if you want to talk about the abuse thing, it's like I'm not condoning, not saying that what she did was right, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Taylor Frankie Paul, I believe she was on the some sort of Mormon thing, like a reality TV show.
Yeah.
She got exposed for like abusing her husband or boyfriend or something, and of course, yes, she should be reprimanded for that, but it's crazy. She had all of these things, like she was going to be on The Bachelorette, that got canceled. You see these people who are abusive constantly, who have belts around their waist, who have contracts, who have movie deals, whatever it may be. Women are not afforded the same luxury to be bad people as men are. And we see that a lot within the UFC. And I mean, I don't know that there's very many scandals of women doing bad things in the UFC, but I mean, think about it. I always say her name wrong. Joanna.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
And the way, like, obviously people don't like Jamal Hill, but that still didn't save her any grace from getting crucified for yelling at him. And yes, I think it's weird that she like pressed him in that way. I think I even made a video about it. I think that it's weird because I know how much people don't like Jamal Hill. And when people don't like someone in the UFC, it's like a bandwagon, vultures to a carcass level of attack to not like someone like Bilal Muhammad. The guy has hate because everyone else hates him. Like you could ask in general, why don't you like Bilal Muhammad? I don't know. I saw that people don't like him. So for him to get more grace in that situation, I don't know. That's just what it rang to me, is that it's like, yeah, why did you do that, girl? But at the same time, it's like, this is a known guy that you would take any opportunity to jump down his throat for being annoying, cringe, or whatever. But then it's like, oh, well, it has something to do with women, so now we're all on his side for this match.
I mean, I think a lot of men were excited at the prospect of being justified for hitting a woman, because a lot of dudes were like, because without even knowing the context, if the woman that was like Jamal's girl was even there, they were like, man, that was me, bro. I would have beat her up. And I'm like, now I stayed silent on the whole issue because I'm like, I don't even know like what's happening. I'm seeing like 10 seconds of them yelling. I didn't even know this was even a thing. So I'm just gonna like, I won't say much, but it just, I think again, like you said though, like women, not that anyone should want to get justification for being a bad person, but I just keep it a butt. Like, it doesn't bother people enough that Conor McGregor was held civilly liable for being a predator. Like it just is what it is. And people often mix up, not that I'm a legal expert of any kind, but people think because it was a civil case, therefore, oh, it was because they couldn't prove it in criminal court, which that's not necessarily the case most of the time. But regardless, it's kind of hard to just end up like that. You don't just accidentally get found liable for something like that if you're just like, I wasn't even there. I didn't even do nothing. But even regardless, right? Like violence towards women or misogyny towards women in MMA is kind of so normalized that even the people who don't appear to be like misogynistic on its face, like they're not outwardly misogynist, at least from a man's point of view. I know it'd be different hearing it from your perspective. Even like some of the stuff they say or do is like, man, is this? I know people are not gonna like that I bring this up, but like DC, bro, like let's keep it a buck. The way that he talks to Laura Sanko and how they like treat her on the weigh-in show, whatever pre-show thing, is weird. Like that is very weird. Like, look, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, if DC wasn't DC, like it's on video too, by the way. So it's not even like hypothetical stories you're hearing. That's like HR, like city all day.
You know what it
You know what I'm
is?
saying?
It's old Rampage.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
literally like old Rampage. The way Rampage used to be with Karen Bryant, the way Rampage used to be with I don't know if Helen Yee was around at the time, but whoever, any female interviewer, any female ring girl that he could like get near, like DC's like that with Laura, and it's definitely pretty weird. But like you said, because it's Rampage, because it's DC, this idol worship culture. I wish you were wrong about that, but I'm reminded of there's this podcast where these two dudes have people call in, and someone was like, I forget what question they were asking, but this guy was like, "Oh, I would want to be Savannah James. Imagine like getting to call LeBron daddy or something like that." And it's like people really take the idol worship that far. So like when you said people would want to be John Jones's wife getting beat on, like they
Yeah,
really,
because
unfortunately, they really do. So
yeah,
that's why they give
yeah,
guys like Rampage and DC that pass.
it's the same thing why Carter gets a pass with people, despite the fact that he's now finally married to D. Devlin, because they're like, well, think about it, bro. She's got all this money. She's got to do nothing. And there's a level of criticism she deserves because she went after the victim of Connor, saying, I hope my sons never grow up to be with a woman like you. How about your sons don't grow up to be like their dad? But hey, maybe that's asking too much. Yeah, that's asking too much.
I want to be fully transparent for the audience. I'm not completely like I'm not completely innocent of what I was just speaking on. Like I did listen to the latest Kanye album. I'm gonna be honest. I did. Listen, I grew up on Kanye, and I know it's all excuses. But I just want to be transparent before people in the comments start getting at me.
Canceled.
No, I'm gonna keep it a buck too, bro. Like, yeah, dude. Like people like try to get on me saying, "Oh, you're a hypocrite." Like, for example, like people be like, "Oh, this fighter is cool with this one, and you like him, or you listen to this artist." And here's what I've always said, bro. Listen, don't do as I say or as I do. Just take suggestion, right? Like I never said I never said
What
I
resonates. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how in biblical they talk about God can use anybody to put out a message. Like, I can put out a message. I can be a flawed individual. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Listen, there's no like me and Luke Thomas once talked about. There's not really any true such thing as ethical consumption. So make your exceptions. You get like 3 freebies, and I don't know, man.
Yeah, and it's so funny to think about. We were talking about this earlier. If we're talking about DC being weird or Nina Drama, for example. Have you ever been fingered by an MMA fighter? And I made a video about Nina Drama and talking about how like I do lack a little sympathy if you're going to be getting angry with Sean Strickland, but that's like your close personal friend. Like you cried at the wedding, you're, very involved with him, you're like that, you consider that your best friend. So to be upset by things that you already know is his behavior is a little hard, but I do where I draw the line, I guess, is like to be asked at your job where you're clocked in, well, maybe not, pushing buttons, but you're at the UFC PI doing an interview with a fighter and they're asking if you've ever been fingered by an MMA fighter. that is crazy. That's not cool. That is a liability. If you're on the weigh-in show and I forget what the clip was. He was talking about something about like turn around or something. Like
Yeah.
DC was like, ooh, like spin or something weird. Like he was
He,
doing something very odd.
he was like, "Get over here, Laura. Get over here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, man.
Yeah, and then he was
Yeah.
talking about like in high school, like that, like he wanted a woman like Lord, or I don't even
Right.
remember, but he was talking
Right.
about her body and like. But someone clear this up to me. What did that George Papapu, whatever that dude? What did he
So
even say to Nina Drama?
basically he was like just trash talking. Like Armin was off on the side with Nina, they're obviously streaming, and he's like, oh, like if I win I want to date with your girlfriend Nina, and to Armin, and he's like, what? And he's like, with your girlfriend Nina, and he's like, that's don't, like, my friends and family are off limits, you know not to talk about that. And then she goes up to him, and she's like, oh, that was not cool. That was totally uncool. Like, I was so nice to you. I let you take a picture with me before. Like, what's up?
Okay, I'm not saying what he said was okay, but like that was it,
That, thank you.
bro, dude.
I think
Shush, bro.
Thank you,
that's
bro.
what
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
what set her
It's
off.
shady.
You're
Yeah.
That's what set her off. Like, listen,
Yeah.
Nina. Full disclosure, Nina showed love to my TikTok page. You know, but I'm gonna call a spade here, bro. What are you getting mad about? Like, dude,
So
that is.
if I
Go
had to play
ahead.
devil's advocate, I would say what she got mad about was him like being a fan. Because it sounds like that's what he was doing. It sounds like he came up
Yeah,
to her as a fan. Because more people know Nina Drama than him. Like we can't even
Yeah,
say
for
his
sure.
last name.
Yeah.
No offense to that guy. I think
yeah,
he's the take me down, you win $1,000 guy.
That guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
people
see.
know
Like
him
on
as
college
that.
campuses or something.
Exactly, on the beach and stuff like that. People know him as that. People actually know Nina Drama's name, at least
Yeah.
her pseudonym. So I think he came up to her as a fan and took a picture, said hello, was very respectful, and then switched
Yeah.
up when it came to the press conference. So it
I do
didn't
see
come off
that.
as her getting mad at that particularly. It kind of came
Yeah.
off as her getting mad at the comment towards
For
her
sure,
about being his girlfriend and stuff.
because clearly she doesn't care about the fact, like she obviously knows that everyone talks about the cuck behind the camera, talks about the husband, talks about her relationship with Alex, talks about her relationship with Sean and especially Armin. Like she either plays into it, ignores it, whatever. So yeah, it is obviously a bit strange that she would be weirded out by that comment, because it's like you get that comment every day. You get that comment constantly of like that you're dating these fighters or whatever. And that's where I think that it is a bit frustrating for me, as like again, I'm not like looking up to Nina Drama. I'm not saying that like she is a role model for me as a woman who watches sports. In a way, yeah, like I love to see a woman be involved in the sport in such a way and can promote it questionably, not very, it's not a great way to promote it, to be honest, but you know, it gets the job done to some degree. But I don't, it's just to see her in her personal life outside of her job for the UFC be closely related to these people who are super inflammatory and then sometimes be upset by their comments. It's like, my question is, what did you expect from these people? Like, these people were already like kind of disrespectful to you at your job. Like, I don't know, their behavior outside of work. I can understand being upset. I know why you're upset, but at what point is it like, when are you going to realize that these people don't respect you? You know what I mean? Like, it's frustrating.
Yeah. Two things about Nina that I wanted to bring up. Dana White. I don't know if you guys saw this. They're at Power Slap, Nina and Dana, and someone was talking about Nina's feet, and Dana was like, "Let me see your feet." They're talking about, like, I think the chat was talking about how good Nina's feet were, and Dana was like, "Let me see." I thought that was weird as fuck, bro. You're like damn near pushing. You're pushing 60.
Yeah.
You're pushing 60. You're married. You have multiple kids, like adult children. You're talking about, let me see your feet to this woman on stream. This woman that could be your kid on stream. I thought that was weird.
And I think
then,
that
oh,
oh,
sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
No, I just think that like them playing into that is so annoying, because that's the thing, is it's like it's all rooted in misogyny. You're gonna again, I want to preface, I have no problem with her showing her boobs and her body. It's tea. I don't care. But to play into that too, like with the man of the company doing that is very odd. It's like, okay, you
Yeah.
asked her to market.
Can I say something about you? What you just said though, I want to talk about just very slightly about her. Obviously showing off the, how do I word this? Because
The
I'm not
goods.
a single man, but a goodies, right? There is a lot of performative outrage from men on that aspect, particularly guru or people who go like, "Oh, you are like sexualizing yourself," da 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 da. But it's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna call a spade here. This is where maybe like I maybe step a little too far, but I'm gonna just try to be as real as I can be. Okay, this whole dynamic of men who go like OF models or women who show off, their body, like they shame them. They're the same ones consuming that content. It's
Yep.
like because everybody say they hate on it, but they don't know nobody who watch it or does it. Nobody
Yeah.
seems to know. Like none of the men know men who are into that, right? And on top of this as well is like men will say this stuff, right? But ask them what they were saying when Mackenzie Dern fought Janjiroba. What were they talking about? Oh, dude, look at the weigh-in,
Exactly.
bro. Dude, the way they zoomed in on the camera, bro. The cameraman knew what he was doing, bro. Or like when what's her
That
face fights?
girl on
Eileen
the
Perez. Oh, who are
that
you
girl on the
saying?
Mexico card. That girl on the Mexico card
Oh
just
yeah.
recently.
Oh,
That new
Rahina, what's her last name? Rahina,
I forget her name, but debut fighter,
I think it's
beautiful.
Rahina
But
Tahi.
that's
Yeah,
all. Anyway, great fight too. Great fight too.
But people were
That's
also
what
saying
everyone
that
was talking about.
they got catfished by her weigh-in, and that what she looked like in the
And yep,
cage
they
wasn't what
switched
she.
up. It was a great fight, but they switched up on the appearance because
Yeah.
she didn't look like she looked in these modeled pictures after she had fought for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and like, bro, this is why I say like this is 100% a misogyny thing and not like people to understand. For example, if a guy cuts weight, right, and then he balloons up after, especially taking on short notice, yeah, you're gonna look bigger than how you look in a photo shoot when you're cutting weight. Like that's why, for example, if you ever look at a picture of like Charles Lavere, he's got his cheeks sucking in, he's got like 6-pack, 8-pack abs. Then you see him fight, he obviously looks chiseled, but he looks different. Everybody looks freaking different when you cut weight the next day. But everybody acting like they never seen somebody put weight back on because it's a woman. That's stupid. And it's not even stupid. It's selective,
Mm.
right? Because these be the same people that say, "Oh, I don't care about all of this. I just watch the fights, like the Zuffa zombies, them people." But then you see a woman, Rahina, who put on a near fight of the night, if not fight of the, it was fight of the night, I believe, right? I could be misquoting, but I think it might have been. But point is, it was a great fight. And all y'all are talking about, dude, but like, did she look good while bro, so are you watching the dudes to see if they look good? And it's no issue if you are. Like it's not even like I'm not even shaming, but like let's be for real here, bro. Like you can't be saying you watch for one reason and then you're applying it for another.
Yeah.
And then but then again, it's kind of I know I'm getting long-winded with this, but my point is though, a lot of men get really performative about this whole high horse of the UFC, bro. They're leading into women's sexuality, bro, and women are having OnlyFans. They're doing all of this, bro, and they're leading into it, and they need to be shamed for it. But it's like you are the people that consume it. And truth be told, bro, like if we're really, really, really gonna go there, if John Jones made one, y'all would buy it too. But that's my point. I'm not even gonna say too much.
Funny
Yeah.
thing is, Ronda Rousey made a comment recently about Valentina having an OF, right?
Yeah.
But Valentina only does training videos on her OF. And Ronda's never had an OF as far as I know, but she's done more sexual things than Valentina. You know what I mean? She
Yeah,
did the
I would-
ESPN The Body.
That's what I was gonna
She's
say.
done things like that, yeah. So I know that's not like a man talking about it, but it's like the selectiveness that you were referring to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I think I don't know why the aspect of people being attractive is like this taboo amongst MMA fans. Because like I'll give you an example. Like Ryzen, there are certain fighters who are really popular in Ryzen because they're good looking. Like Hiramoto, for example, Ren Hiramoto. Like a lot of the women look at him and go, "That's a handsome guy." That's why there's a good amount of women who watch Ryzen. Now, the carryover to the UFC, it's hard to compare, but like, listen, I've seen some of those edit accounts of them Dagestani, Chechnyan, Caucasian fighters, and like some men may not look like she's looking away because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. But there is a community of women who look at some of these male fighters and are like thirsty, and that's not, there's nothing wrong with that. Y'all dudes do it openly too. Like I don't know why there's this idea like because people are weird about this where they think like you can only like a fighter for fighting reasons. You can't like them for anything that is like non-fighting related. Like, bro, if, for example, a lot of the women who like Habib, despite what he says, they think he look good.
And
Like
I'm
Islam,
gonna
they
tell you,
think.
that's why I really even started liking the UFC. Dude, I'm not lying to you. First of all, I already knew who Habib was back in like 2018 because I thought he was hot. I posted on my spam account. There's like a video of him between like it's like him sleeping and like Islam or somebody's in the middle and Islam and Habib are sleeping on this guy and I was like, I wish I was in the middle. That's how I already felt. The reason that I fell in love with the UFC is because of Shara Bullet Magomedov because I still do think he's really hot. And sometimes that can be a motivating factor, okay? Sometimes people are hot and there's nothing wrong with it. And yes, you could say the aspect of, oh, people don't like that, the thirsting over the Muslim men. Understandable, got it. Still think they're attractive. Sorry. But exactly, like the way that people want to see what's her name's feet all day, Tracy Cortez's feet, Alexa Grasso's feet, it's like then there's a weirdness with women. You're always like, oh my God, when I see an edit account of them making edits of a man like a UFC fighter, like boo. I'm like, you guys are the ones who are like genuinely jorking it to this, by the way. I'm not doing that. Like I am using some creativity to make an edit. You are wanting to see toenails. Different. We're different.
I think the issue is like so like men are just they're ignoring women's MMA entirely. Like it's just sexualization for
Yeah,
women.
true.
Like when it comes to like men's MMA, yeah, there's sexualization, but then there's someone like you, Jada, who's actually enjoying the sport.
And
Yeah.
yeah. No, I've definitely learned to, I mean, like, I already was interested anyway. Like, I love aggression. It was cool. But yeah, no, especially when someone good looking is fighting, I'm like, I am tuned in. I'm down, And I think that's even what happens with men, Like, yeah, there's certain people, yep, the weigh-in with her butt. They're like, oh, I'm watching that fight. And it's like, okay, now you're interested because a butt is involved. We all have, everyone's got a butt, by the way. Watch everyone.
Yeah, it's just like I always just say somebody's lying. People want to say, "Oh, Tabitha Ritchie." I don't get why they keep pushing her and Callum Walsh. Go to Instagram reel views whenever like they do like a photo shoot of her, like the weigh-in stuff. Mackenzie Dern. Oh my gosh, dude, Mackenzie Dern sucks, but this be y'all, right? Same thing even goes with like whatchamacallit, what's her name? Tracy Cortez, right? And people are like, oh, dude, why is she getting this opportunity? Da, 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 da. But this be y'all,
Yeah.
right? And to touch on Tracy Cortez really quickly, because I think she gets this really bad, in my opinion, where there's a lot of men who find her very attractive and whatnot, but like they hate the fact that she's like attractive. And then like the UFC's leaning into it and she's like self-aware of the fact that she knows people are attracted to her. And they like get like hype, like for example, with Ortega and Alex Pereira, she was in relationships with both of them. None of us really know even what happened. None of us really know. But a lot of men were like, see, look, man, that's why you can't date no girl like Tracy Cortez, bro. Dude, she's going to be problems. And you're just like not even assuming like Alex Pereira, who had a failed marriage, could be the problem. Not saying that people who do that
There's
are a
more
problem.
to Alex as well, but
Yeah, and even like same thing with Ortega, like Ortega could have been a problem too, but I think there's this thing of like they don't like women who are self-aware that they know they're attractive and they lean into it. They just don't. That's the issue. Like they want women who have that appearance to be like humble or unaware of that, and they want them to be all ditzy. That's why this is. I mean, this is going to veer into a certain conversation, right? They don't say that about Natalia Silva because her perception is more like, obviously it's a little bit of the language barrier because she primarily speaks Portuguese, but she's very like ditzy. But when it's like Tracy Cortez, it's like, oh, dude, I can't stand Cortez, dude. She's so annoying, bro. Dude, she's a treesh, bro. Da, 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 da. I'm like, You even know this, bro? Like, how would you even know any of this? Like,
Yeah.
that don't make no sense to me.
I've heard the rumor that she cheated on him. I'm like, who told you that?
Yeah, it
On
was the same
Ortega.
thing with Ilya and his wife. It was
Yeah.
immediately he didn't do it. She's just trying to get money.
Even
He
though
had
she was the richer
money.
one, though. She's the
Yeah.
richer one.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, and that's why it sucks when any of the discourse with women come up because it's like, oh my God, shut up already. Everybody has to shut up because it's never coming from a place of like, it's always attack women first and then come out later and then be like, oh, because I still don't really understand the Ilya thing completely. But then there was allegations that he was like beating her, and then everyone's like, oh well, and then has it been resolved that he wasn't? Was that what it was found and that like they settled out of
I don't even
court?
know.
There's just
Yeah.
nothing. There's nothing of substance that got resolved. So this is where I'm gonna call it a certain person too, because I know he's seen what I said about him, but he won't ignore it. The Weasel was a big problem with this. So a lot of people do not know the difference between a settlement and an actual case being decided. Case never was decided. There was no verdict. There was nothing of the sort. Ilya and his, I don't know if it's still his wife or not, legally or not, but they came to an agreement and they said, you know what? Let's just end it here. We're going to settle this. We're going to move on. We have no information on what it was. It was undisclosed to my understanding. That's it. But people were like, dude, see, look, she was lying. He won. He owns her. And it's like, we just don't know.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know. So again, just for your cognitive dissonance sake, just say we don't know what happened and just move on from it. Don't start saying like, oh, this is proof that she was lying, because then someone could vice versa say he paid her because she wasn't lying. But we don't know. We
True.
don't know what happened. But the way so many men have this fantasy of, I want to be able to duck on women. I want to own the no, I was gonna say the misogynist. I meant to say own the feminists, and all that. Like, that's what they want. And deep down, a part of them, I'm gonna be real, this may be crazy for me to say, they'd probably think he's cooler if he did hit her. They probably would think that like adds like edge to it, because when John Jones hits women, it's like, he's just a complicated figure, bro. You understand? He made a mistake. He's going through a rough time.
Like
Listen, I've been through
demons.
rough times. I've been through trials and tribulations. I have never once it crossed my mind thinking, you know what? I'm gonna go beat up my girlfriend because I'm going through tough. That's never crossed my mind. Maybe because I'm not world championship-esque and that's what it takes. I don't know, but that never been me.
People think I'm kidding when I say this. People cared more about John Jones ducking Tom Aspinall than they did anything he did prior to that. When you look, I made a video on this. When you look at the Tapology GOAT list, like the week that he ducked Tom Aspinall, he went from like number 2, I think, after GSP. He dropped to like around 6 to 8. He's never fluctuated that much ever in his entire career on the Tapology GOAT list, ever since being like top 3. The week he ducked Tom Aspinall, he drops all the way to like 8. And then he's back up to where he was. But like when he had the hit and run, when he has the domestic abuse situations, when he tests positive, like never dropped that much until he ducked Tom Aspinall.
Crazy.
And like people will bring up those things. They'll be like, oh, he's not the GOAT because of that. But really, that's what they cared about, was the Tom Aspinall thing. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot.
Yeah. You need to leave.
No, I actually don't. Like, well, like, no, I'm good right now. We have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
gonna
overall women are, yeah, I think the women's MMA, I don't know how something has got to give. I don't know. Maybe something explosive needs to happen again for it to be respected. But I think that there's just going to be a small group who cares and then majority who don't.
I would compare to, MMA's, cousin, brother, sister. I don't know what the relationship would be, but I always say, if you want to look at the trends that MMA is going to go in, you would look at pro wrestling. So pro wrestling had this problem with the Divas era, right? And even a little bit even before the Divas era, when they started the women's championship, where you had a lot of talented women's wrestlers I could name off top. Like, I'll use from the Divas era, like AJ Lee, Alicia Fox, Layla, Michelle McCool, whomever, right? Whoever you want to name. The issue was though, like just straight up internally, the WWE did not care about women's wrestling beyond eye candy, and they didn't hide it at all. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that it was called like the Divas Championship, it has like the butterfly wings, and it just looks functionally different than most WWE belts at the time. Like it looked kind of gimmicky. Now, some people their mileage may vary on that, but regardless, what started to happen was you had the four horsewomen, you had Sasha Banks, you had Ric Flair's daughter. Oh my gosh, I feel bad for Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, right? And women's MMA has kind of had that, but it did it backwards, where the heats happened in the beginning. Because let's not forget, Dana White swore on his bald head, and I'm not trying to cast judgment. I know I'm balding too. I know people want to bring that up. All right, I ain't. I can. That's my joke. That's my community. I can make that joke. That's my culture. Anyways, he swore that women would never fight in the MMA, and he was not interested until Ronda Rousey existed. And he was like, "Yo, I can make some money off this." And Ronda Rousey, people I hate to sound Joe Rogan, but people forget, man, she's like top 3 most popular fighter all time. She just is. She's more pop. Like if we're talking
she's
sales,
top 3 most entertaining
like
fighters of all time too.
Yeah, like people. Even if you weren't even aware of MMA at the time, you somewhat heard of Ronda Rousey. Like that's why when people are acting fake woke, saying like, "Oh, dude, I'm not watching no Ronda Rousey Unicron, dude. That dude's gonna flop." Shut up, bro. Listen, there's people who I know are sources that I see that never talk about MMA. They saw Ronda Rousey, they were like, "Oh, Ronda Rousey, she's fighting again." And to them, the timeline doesn't seem crazy because they just were not paying attention, so they don't look at it as like, "Oh my gosh." And y'all were watching Mike Tyson at like 80 years old fight Jake. Like let's not do that. But my thing is, so the four horsewoman era happened a bit early for women. So now we're at the point where it's like Valentina's still there. Kayla is finally crossed over to the UFC. She's here. The Nunes fight not happening kind of took a little bit of momentum away. Mm-hmm. That fight will eventually happen at some point this year. But the issue with any division, right, is when you look forward, like who is going to be the women that come up when Whaley has to go, when Shevchenko has to go, and when Nunes and Harrison are on the way out because they're not going to be here much longer either. When I look at 135, I see Jacqueline Cavalcanti, but not a lot of people know who that is. She's not very vocal. You have Eileen Perez, who people do know because she be shaking her butt after fights. There's that. She did have a really cool rivalry with Jocelyn Edwards, but people don't really get into that one because it was a more niche rivalry. It was like Makayev versus Manel Kape-esque beef, but they actually fought each other instead of just like laying and praying for 15 minutes. At 125, you have Dakota Ditcheva, who people like a lot, but the problem is she's in the PFL, so like she's respectfully not fighting anyone of significance to where people would go like, "Oh, like Dakota's fighting this girl," right? Like no one's really saying that. I mean, you have Alexa Grasso, who got like basically a Orm recharge now after like what she did to Macy Barber. So I guess, but she's not even gonna be around that much longer either. Like she's kind of a vet in her own right. And then at 115, man, at 115, because yeah, I can't really think of anybody. It's just like Whaley and everybody else. Richie could make something happen, but the problem with Tabitha Richie is that her and Callum Walsh come off as inauthentic because the UFC always talks about them as like this power couple, but no one has ever organically said, "Turn on that Callum Walsh, bro. Like I want to see him fight. Turn on that Tabitha Richie." I've never, at least I'm not aware of that. There's no disrespect to them. That's just like the honest truth. What I think should happen is you bring in the atomweight division. Because if you look over in Asia, particularly in Ryzen and One Championship, but One Championship just got rid of their strawweight division, a lot of the best women are not that big. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this even applies to the men as well. Like some of the most skilled men you've seen are not that big. Like, and this kind of applies the same way. Like there's this one woman named Aziwa over in Ryzen, and she's dominating women. Like she's just going out there, like submitting them left and right, but she's running out of people because it's just like she's over and rising. Same thing even goes like for one championship, some of the women who do kickboxing and MMA. For example, Stamp Fairtex. If you've watched a Stamp Fairtex fight, she's more entertaining than 99% of people I've ever seen. Like she goes out there trying to scrap, trying to take people's head off. But they're in a whole other side of the market that a lot of people are just not paying attention to. So I think if you want more of a women's renaissance, potentially, you got to find some way to get the women who are in atom weight, who are in like Invicta, which Invicta isn't as active as it used to be, but that would probably be the thing, in my opinion. But I don't know.
Which is unfortunate because it's just more monopolization from the UFC. Like that's the solution
Yeah,
to
that is the
women.
issue.
Because like even you're talking about Dakota Decheva and like all these other people not paying attention to those markets. Well, she's in the PFL. People don't even pay attention to that market, and it's also American. And I was thinking like, and it's also partly because it's women though, because I was thinking of Talia Santos. Dakota has a win over her, and I think she beat Valentina in that fight.
Yeah.
I think Talia beat Valentina in their fight, and then she lost to Erin Blanchfield, went on a 3-fight win streak, including one over Liz Carmouche, in 2024, you know, she's way older, but it's Liz Carmouche, it's a name. And then Dakota beats her, and it's like, I couldn't think off the top of my head of a male equivalent to something like that, but if a male equivalent to something like that were to happen, where you have this contender who a lot of people thought beat this dominant champion, and then they drop one fight, leave the UFC, go on a 3-4 fight win streak, and then someone beats them, that person who beat them would get a lot of credit, but like people don't give Dakota a lot of credit for that Talia Santos win.
Yeah, I think if anything, the woman who is going to be, I have a take. Now, this one is going to be, this depends on how she develops MMA, but I hope I'm not going to mix them up. Eileen Pereira, not Elise Pereira, not the one who's 20 years old, who's not related to Alex's sister, because she's fighting on the MVP card, on the undercard. I think the goal is with Gina and Ronda, if you want to like do the thing that Jake Paul has done with women's boxing, which even though I don't like Jake Paul, I got to give credit that he's put women's boxing in a place where it never has been, right? Like you wouldn't even be able to imagine that trilogy between Taylor and Serrano and
yeah.
like that was the one that a lot of people were watching, maybe because they weren't going into it initially, but people enjoyed their second and third fight. They didn't necessarily see the first one, but the last two, right? Same thing even goes with what's her name? Alicia Baumgartner, right? Like a lot of people saw her for the first time and generally liked what they saw of her 2 fights when she was on those Netflix cards. What you would need to do with Ronda and Gina is you need a woman to take the torch from them. Someone who's on the younger end of the spectrum has got to take them out. But do you only get them for one? Because the thing with Ronda and Gina is, as cool of like the nostalgia factor it is, there is no stakes afterwards, right? It's like, it kind of reminds me of Crown Jewel in WWE, where like you see a matchup that is cool in theory and name value, but storyline wise, there's nothing you can do after it unless you're like pushing it. And I would think I'd be pushing it. The only way I could see it continue is if Gina won. Like if Gina somehow messed around and beat Ronda, because I don't think most people think Gina will win, there would be like Gina hasn't fought in like, what, how many years? Like the last time I think Gina fought, I might have been in like
2009. It was the
2009.
I'm pretty sure that was 2009. Yeah.
Like that's why
Bro, I was in elementary school when she last fought. What?
Yeah, like honestly, like credit to her because she's looking really good, like for not fighting for so long. But like I don't know, man. Against Ronda, it's. I feel like it's gonna be a quick submission, personally.
Yeah.
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 But yeah,
What do they do if either of them win? Because I feel like it's better if Ronda wins because she's more likely to fight again than Gina.
What weight class is Eileen Pereira at? Like, because that's what I'm trying to think. Like,
You
because
think either of them fight her? Is that what you're saying?
That makes
Like I'm
sense,
trying to
honestly.
like hold on. What is Eileen's paid as like? I gotta look this up, bro. Because
I think
I don't. I think she
had
might be
the
smaller.
topology.
Man, what
She is, let's see.
125? Oh nah,
hmm
she's too small. 125. Bro, they gotta get like Cyborg or something, bro. They gotta get like, Cyborg.
That's the only thing I could think of for either of them is winner fight Cyborg, either the rematch or Ronda versus Cyborg for the
Man,
first
I
time.
mean, even
I
Holly Holm.
yeah, I feel like the name value alone from Alex's sister is gonna be big enough to fight either Gina or Ronda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing with Eileen Pejeda though is like she has to do a little bit more because I believe she's like 2-2 or 3-2 in MMA. She
Mhm.
did recently have that knock on karate combat, but the problem is you have half people thinking that Elise Pejeda is Alex's sister. I mean, Dominic Cruz is like, oh, dude, that's her brother, and I'm like, what? What? That's not. So she definitely got to like make it very, but she also just can't be Alex's sister. She has to also have like her own thing as well. So I do think obviously the name value gets her in the door, but she has to still be
Something.
her own thing. She just can't be I'm Alex's sister, so watch me. Like there has to be more to it. But um I don't know. With women's MMA though, I generally don't find it to be as big of a low point as most people do. I just think MMA in general is at a low point in name value, and I think it's just more reflected in women's MMA because the pool of people is smaller, right? And we're
Exactly.
talking about only 3 weight classes, so you're gonna feel it more, especially at 135, where the division has not moved along that much. But another division hasn't changed all that much either. Lightweight, bro, we got the same old dude still in there. You like, it's been 5 years since we've expected Vazeev, Gamrot. Used to be what was that guy's name? Um, oh my gosh, who's the Georgian guy with the beard? Oh my gosh, he was Hamzat's boy. He beat Gamrot. Oh my gosh, Kudaladze, Guram Kudaladze. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Guram Kudaladze. Arman found his way up, but Vazeev, like they were supposed to take out the Justin Gaethjes, the Max Holloways, and them. Like they're not supposed to still be there. They're supposed to be gone. But lightweight is still ran by the old boys club. Now I know Ilya is in there now. Ilya is doing his thing, but Justin Gaethje in 2026 is still fighting for the belt. They were talking about Justin Gaethje being scared to fight Vazeev. Why is he still here? So it's not even like a women's thing. It's just this kind of goes back to the overall point. Women have a less ability to like fail in these situations than the men do because even if we're gonna look at it like, for example, is light heavyweight any better than it was like 5-10 years ago?
No,
No. Is heavyweight any better than it was 5-10 years ago?
no, worse.
I mean, shoot, I'll even go out on a limb and say this, like outside of Hamzat, because Hamzat is him. But like, let's keep it real though, bro. Is middleweight even that much better? Like people gonna act like that's crazy. But dude, a few years ago, we're talking about a division with Whitaker, Romero, Souza, Riedman, Rockhold. Like, is it actually that much better today? Now, would it like maybe that might be pushing it. But I'll even say this: look at flyweight. I know flyweight's in its probably its best state parity wise. Keyword parity. Kyoji Horiguchi, why is he still getting wins? Why is he in the title picture? He's from DJ's era. He should not be in the title picture in 2026.
Who is Tim
Right?
Elliott scheduled against?
I'm not sure who he's fighting.
Oh, it was it's someone that Pantoja has fought, I want to say. Or am I
Oh
tripping?
man. But obviously
see.
again, Tim Elliott beating one of Pantoja's title defenses and Kaya Sakura, who again, hopefully he
Urseg. He's fighting Urseg. So if he beats Urseg,
Is that the guy?
the guy. That's the guy. That's the guy.
Okay.
that's the guy. That's
That's
Actually
the actual
him?
Steve. Yeah.
that's the actual Steve, not Steve Garcia.